I want to welcome you to the Danville City Commission regular meeting for today, Monday, June the 12th. Time is 5:30 p.m. We'd like to get ourselves started on time today, and we're going to be led in a moment of prayer by Commissioner Donald Peake, and we're going to be followed up with a pledge of allegiance to the flag by Commissioner Rick Siri.
Not as individuals, but as a team, working towards a common goal. And I would ask that you would help us to act in love towards one another and have mutual respect for each other. Lead our thoughts, temper our words, and forgive our shortcomings as we come together to accomplish the work before us. And thank you for all that you watching over everyone, and have a moment of silence for those lives that have been lost. Amen.
Thank you. Rick?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all, and thank you for your attendance this afternoon. Commissioners, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented with a couple of changes. I'd like to move item number 22 and 23 from the bottom of the list up until number 8A and 8B, right before we do the administrative stuff. So would someone entertain a motion? Someone make a motion to move for that approval?
I'll move to approve the agenda with the stated changes.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. Okay, at this time in our agenda, it's where we hear the public, and the public is asked to be recognized, come to the podium and talk to the commission. But at this time, it has to be about items that are only on the agenda. And please limit your comments or questions or concerns to 3 minutes or less. So is there anyone who wants to speak to the commission about items on the agenda at this time? That's my phone, but it's one of my long-lost cousins. I didn't win the lottery, even though the wife's calling me, but that's okay. Okay, thank you now. Let's move along then. First item on the agenda for official business is we're going to have a Juneteenth proclamation. It's going to be read to us by Commissioner Kevin Cottle.
Thank you, Mayor. Proclamation Juneteenth 2023, whereas Juneteenth, also known as Freedom Day, Jubilee Day, Liberation Day, and Emancipation Day, is a holiday celebrating the emancipation of those who had been enslaved in the United States. And whereas President Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1st, 1863, declaring the slaves in Confederate territory free, paving the way for passing the 13th Amendment, which formally abolished slavery in the United States. And whereas 2 years later, on June 19th, 1865, General Gordon Granger announced that slaves in Texas were free by order of the President of the United States, and whereas freedmen in Texas organized the first of what will become the annual celebration of Jubilee Day on June 19th, whereas June 19th has a special meaning to African Americans and is called Juneteenth, combining the words June and 19th, and has been celebrated by the African American community for over 150 years. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Mayor James J.H. Atkins and the Board of Commissioners of the City of Danville do hereby proclaim June 19th, 2023 as Juneteenth in the City of Danville, and urge all citizens to observe Juneteenth as an opportunity to reflect, rejoice, and plan for a brighter future as we continue to address racial injustices in our society today.
Thank you, sir. Commission, what's your pleasure with this proclamation?
I'll make a motion to approve the proclamation as presented.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, sir. Any questions or comments? The Juneteenth celebrations around the state of Kentucky and throughout the United States are taking place this coming Friday and also this coming Saturday. The closest one to us is the Central Kentucky, or the Bluegrass Juneteenth celebration, being hosted by the Harrisburg-Mercer County community. Starts at 11 a.m. and goes to, I think, around 11 or 12 o'clock. It's been located at Lions Park. No, that's not right. West Lane Park in Harrisburg, West Lane Park. Sorry about that. Okay, so all those in favor of this proclamation, say aye.
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 Those opposed, say nay. Thank you all. Proclamation carries. Next item on our agenda is a Parks and Rec Committee appointment. Chair would entertain a motion to reappoint Mr. Martin Morgan as a joint city and county representative on our Parks and Rec Committee.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, guys. Any other questions or comments?
Parks and Rec should feel happy to have him. He's a real asset.
Well, I'm excited about you all approving this because he's currently serving as the chair of the committee, so it'd be nice to keep him going. Okay, so all those who, and that's not my phone. Oh. All those in favor of Mr. Morgan's reappointment, say aye.
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 Those opposed, thank you. Motion carries. Next item is an Economic Development Authority appointment. And our nominee is Mr. Terry Crowley. Commissioners, what's your pleasure with this recommendation, this appointment?
I move we accept the recommendation of appointing Terry Crowley to the EDA.
Second.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Who's he, oh, go ahead.
What's that?
Who's he replacing?
Oh, he's filling the vacancy of a former commissioner, I think. Okay,
Okay.
all right.
EDA being different from the EDC. Yeah.
Right, Any other questions about appointing Mr. Terry Crowley? It's great that he's willing to do this. He sort of serves as an interim for us during the formation of all this EDA and the Danville Ward County Development Corp. All those in favor of this appointment, say aye.
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 Those opposed, say nay. Thank you again. That motion carries. And Mr. Crowley and Mr. Morgan both are excited about continuing to serve for us. The next item is approval of the minutes of the previous meetings with an S on them. So there's several of our meetings.
I'll move to approve the minutes from special call meeting on 19th of May, 2023, regular meeting on the 22nd of May, 2023, special call meeting on the 26th of May, 2023, and special call meeting on the 8th of June, 2023.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, ma'am. Any questions or comments? Commission's been busy, and we've all been at attendance at all those meetings, so that's good work for our community. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed, motion carries. Thank you all. Next on our agenda is a recommendation for a zone change for 60 West Ridge Drive. Our planning and zoning director, Ms. Geary.
Good evening. I'm sorry you'll be hearing too much of me tonight, but this is a zone change recommendation for 60 Westwood Drive, and it was a request to rezone 2.42 acres from Industrial Business Development District to Light Industrial. The Planning Commission's vote was 8 yeas and 0 nays for recommendation of approval. They found that the application was consistent with the adopted comprehensive plan. It was in agreement with the future land use map, and it conforms with the economic development objectives of the adopted comprehensive plan. The conceptual plan that was submitted with this application shows that the applicant is interested in building a second 5,000 square foot retail building similar to the Magic Carpet that's already out there. The reason that they're seeking the zone change is that we have a minimum of 5 acres for the current zoning district of IBD, whereas the light industrial is 5,000 square feet, so it would allow them to subdivide that property and develop it with that additional retail building. So, are there any questions for me on that?
Thank you, ma'am, but don't go anywhere, right?
Yeah, I'll stay.
I do have a question. I was
Yes, ma'am.
driving by. Did Automate express any concern about not being as visible if a building went in front of them?
We did not receive any calls on this application or have anyone come in for public comment.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? If not, the chair would entertain a motion to approve this recommendation.
I'll move to approve, or to accept the Planning Commission's zone change recommendation at 60 Westridge Drive.
Second.
Thank you all. Any other questions or comments? If not, those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Mayor, I'll have that ordinance ready for you at your next regularly scheduled meeting.
Yes, sir, and welcome back.
Yeah. Forgot, you got your, Stephen Dexter, I'm glad you have your nameplate, because I forgot who you were.
I think you all are forgetting here. I've missed one meeting in probably 15 years, and I believe y'all have had so many special called budget meetings that haven't necessitated my presence. So I welcome you back to our regular business away from your budget meetings.
We were not talking about you missing meetings, we just missed your presence in Danville. Moving right along, the next item is a zone change for 0 Boffman Avenue.
Yep, so this was heard at the regularly scheduled meeting on May 24th. That was continued to May 31st due to a lack of quorum that was eventually established at the May 24th meeting. It is a request to rezone 12.006 acres located at 0 Boffman Ave. So this is right behind the church that's on Boffman Ave. It's just west of the manufactured home park that's out there. After a public hearing, the Planning Commission's vote was 8 yeas and 0 nays for a recommendation of approval to the Danville City Commission. They did find that it was consistent with the adopted comprehensive plan as demonstrated by its compliance with the following items. The map amendment is in agreement with the future land use map, and the Planning Commission also adopted and incorporates the findings submitted by Council Johns. That should be included in the recommendation packet that I sent to you, so I won't read all of those. The Planning Commission did hear from several members of the public at this meeting with concerns about traffic conditions as well as water runoff issues, so the Planning Commission just wanted to pass that on to you all since it's something that City Commission typically might hear about. So the intent of this zone change and the conceptual plan that was submitted was for 58 lots out there. So to go from RM2 to R1C, basically the intent of it was RM2 and R1C actually have the same density. It allows for 5,000 square foot per unit. Whereas RM2, when you're doing single-family developments, it requires R1A standards, so that's 10,000 square feet, so significantly larger minimum lot size than what's allowed in the R1C. So that's what the applicant was seeking, the zoning map amendment. They're looking to do single-family style development out there. So, any questions for me on that?
Did you state how many units?
58.
58.
Yep, sorry, in my staff report, I noted it as 46. I skipped the count of those middle ones, so it was a mistake that we noted at the meeting. Yep.
So the density would be about the same, 58 smaller units versus duplexes, right?
It would,
Okay.
yep. You could put 58 duplexes out there. So it's really just the style of development is how I would consider the change from R2 to R1C. It just allows for a single family rather than the duplex requirement.
And the concerns that were made by the citizens, you think the commission addressed those? that were addressed?
Yeah, there wasn't much expressed in ways of concerns of the zone change. Really, the two major items were traffic concerns and the water runoff issues. Yep. So water runoff issues will be dealt with once we get a little bit further along in the process. and there can be discussion if a traffic impact study is required or not. This is an infill development project, so as it stands right now, it's zoned RM2, so it could go out and put 58 duplexes on it as it's zoned currently. It's not like we're going from an ag to a higher density. The density is going to remain the same, so. Yep.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from the commission? All right. But again, it's good to hear the citizen input on these types of things. So the chair would entertain a motion for this recommendation.
I move that we accept the zoning board's recommendation for the zone change at 0 Baughman Avenue.
Is there a second?
Second.
Well, I thought I was going to get to say, well, the motion, that project died for lack of a motion, but okay, Commissioner Collins. Any other questions or comments on this one? Really, it's an improvement to what could be going on, so appreciate
I'm
that.
just glad to see development.
Yes.
That's exciting.
Yep.
Yeah. All those in favor of this recommendation for Baughman Avenue, say aye.
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 Those opposed? Thank you, the motion carries. Next item, you still up, young lady? So
I am.
recommendation of 496 and 498 Delahaye Street.
All right, so this was heard at the regularly scheduled meeting on May 24th, 2023. It was a request to rezone 0.23 acres, which is in 2 tracts located at 496 and 498 Delahaye Street. This is right on the corner of Delahaye and Fern. There's new athletic fields that Center College has built on the other side of Fern, so it's right across from that. After a public hearing had been conducted on the proposed amendment, the Planning Commission's vote was 6 yeas and 0 nays for a recommendation of approval to the Danville City Commission. They did find that it was in agreement with the adopted comprehensive plan, and it was in agreement with the future land use map. Essentially, what's built out there now is permissible in the IBD. So they're looking to go from IBD to central business. So that's just one of our industrial zoning districts to a commercial central business zoning district. What they're doing now is retail on the first floor and then apartments on the second floor. Well, they're in the process of building. I think it's nearly complete or already completed. So they were remodeling what was already existing structure out there. The reason for the zoning map amendment request was there is an interest to potentially do short-term rentals on the second floor instead of apartment, multifamily housing. So in the central business district, that is permitted, whereas in the IBD, it's not. Also, this really isn't meeting any of our IBD requirements as far as minimum lot size, landscaping, et cetera. Central business is a bit more appropriate for how that lot is laid out and consistent with that area, so.
Yeah, looks pretty good. Is there a motion for this recommendation?
I'll move to approve the Planning Commission's recommendation to approve the zoning map amendment at 496 and 498 Delahaye Street.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions or comments? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Wow,
All right, thank you all.
pretty good. All
Thank
right,
you.
Thank you. It's really neat to have some of these come in front of us that we already know a little bit about, so that was good. Okay, next item is Resolution 2223-06-1201. Party on Air contract approval, right?
Bouncy house.
Amber, Amber. From the,
All
shall I
right,
announce where you're from?
yeah, I'm Amber, and I'm from Parks and Recreation.
Okay,
And I'm coming to you all because we have a contract that I need you all to sign. We are planning a 4th of July event out at Millennium this year. And I'm getting, I think there's 8 bouncy houses or activities that are gonna come out there with Party on Air. So we need to get the contract signed for that to be able to happen.
wow. Appreciate you having a fun activity on 4th of July.
This is a full day event that
Yes.
accumulates, or, sorry, ends with the fun run and the fireworks?
Yeah, there's gonna be, a fun run out there, there's gonna be cornhole, we're gonna have bouncy houses. It's gonna be a fun afternoon and evening at the park.
For citizens of all ages.
Yes,
All
of
right,
course.
got the chief sitting right there behind you smiling.
Well, I move for approval of Resolution 2023-06-1201.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments for Amber? Fourth of July, sounds exciting.
Thank you all.
And I-
Parks and Rec
I had
on
a
the
I had a
move.
hard time reading this. It kept saying party on air. I said, I've never tried that before, so. okay.
Well, you'll have to come out on July 4th now.
Oh, I pay money.
Well, I'll come out and test the bouncy items for you, right?
Do we vote?
Okay.
Do we vote?
Did we vote on that?
We have it?
Will all those in favor of that resolution?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. So this is where we've moved 2 items up in our agenda. So Chief Simpson, you want to come up and start us off with the Safe Haven Baby Box contract? Congratulations on this.
Hey, thank you. We're very excited about this. Anonymous donor donated a Safe Haven baby box to City of Danville, Boyle County, and it's very exciting. And in your packet, that's the service contract agreement, just asked to get approved for it.
Okay. You want to explain what the Safe Haven box is, sir?
Yes, it's a box that goes on to the structure of the fire station or where it was deemed, which will be on our fire station, Station 2. And it's monitored 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. It's temperature controlled, air cooled. That way, with someone who needs to, turn a child over, they can do it in a safe manner. And it's not only a win for Danville, but it's a win for the region. It's
Yes.
a win for everybody in central Kentucky. We're very excited about it. And Safe Haven people, they actually do the installation and everything. So we're very fortunate to have that available. Very blessed.
You want to get Mr. and Ms. Walls to come up, say anything?
Yes,
Well, she'll come up. He don't like to talk. So he says.
Hello, my name is Deborah Walls, and I'm on the board of a charitable foundation that has donated the money for the Safe Haven baby box to be put in at the Danville Fire Station number 2. I have a letter here showing, you guys don't have this, receipt of those funds. So I think the next step is a contract, and then they can start making the box, and they have a turnaround time of about 4 weeks.
Wow.
So here seeking approval for the installation of the box, and you should have all the information on the boxes. Does anybody have any questions for me?
We're all just excited
Yeah,
about
thank you.
going to be one in Danville. It was kind of ironic. We had the meeting or two, and then I went home and cut television on, and they put one over in the Corbin, I think it was.
Yes,
That's
since you and I met.
Yes, ma'am.
They've put 2 more in Kentucky.
Well, great. Okay.
So we would be the first for Central Kentucky.
Okay.
The Corbin is the first in Eastern, and the most latest one is in Hebron, which is in the Cincinnati, like North Cincinnati
Yes, ma'am.
almost area.
So we'll be number 9 in the state? Is that correct? 8 or 9?
Actually, there's 18 currently in Kentucky. We'd be
18.
number 19.
19, okay, all right. Well, great project. And
Yeah.
it's one of those things you do for the right reasons, and we keep praying that it never gets used, but
Right,
in case somebody wants to use it, it's available.
right.
And someone asked about why the location. So you want to explain a little bit about the location we decided?
The location was decided because it's number one, it's more anonymous. And secondly, it's Harrodsburg Junction, Stanford. I mean, it's right there. It's easily accessed, prevents people from having to go downtown, again, for anonymous reasons. But it's just a good central location for those surrounding areas.
Yes, ma'am. But again, thanks to you and your husband, well, to you and your family, really, because I know a little bit about the foundation then, but thanks for bringing this to our attention and bringing it to Danville, Kentucky.
Thank you.
So thank you.
very much.
And just for the citizens, this was actually brought up a couple years ago by a member in our audience, and it hadn't caught on yet. It was just seen as something for larger cities. And Danville being the hub, I'm thankful that it was donated. In our packet, it says it's valued $16,000 to $20,000. So, you know, the city's not paying for that, but the donors. So thank you very much. And I guess also the fire station, there's 24/7 coverage there, and that was one of the big needs for that as well. And once they get started in town, the ministry actually offers a lot of other things too, whether it's support or adoption services for people in need. So that's all. Thank you, guys.
Do we vote to accept?
No, we need to.
We have a motion?
No, we need a motion.
Have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2023-06-1212.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, ma'am. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you all. And Chief, since we brought you over, might as well let you do your second item on the, you was down to be last on the agenda. How about that?
I like getting moved up, that's pretty nice. Next one's going to be the lockbox ordinance, second reading.
Yes. Okay.
This
Madam
is,
Clerk?
this is the second reading of ordinance number 2011, an ordinance amending City of Danville, Kentucky Code of Ordinance, Chapter 6, Fire Prevention and Protection, Article 2, Standards of Safety, to add a new section titled Key Box Requirement.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you all very much, appreciate you.
All right. Is there a motion?
I move for approval of the second reading of ordinance 2011.
Second.
Thank you all. Any questions or comments? Anybody want to explain what the lockbox is? Chief done that. Come on, Chief, do it one more time. It's all right, no.
So the lockbox is a commercial box that goes on commercial structures, new construction, and allows access to safety personnel, fire department, police department, mostly fire department, after hours. So we don't tear the door down or do some damage. So we can get in early on commercial structures. 2 o'clock in the morning, key holder information. We'll just open the door, go ahead and check things out if we need to, and don't do a whole lot of damage to it. So we have over 100 now in the city, Knox boxes that go on commercial structures. We also have about 6 residential ones. So if anybody needs any information, feel free to contact me, and I'll get that information to you if anybody's interested in a residential Knox box.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, I need a roll call vote on this one?
Commissioner Caudle,
Yes.
Commissioner Peak,
Yes.
Mayor Atkins,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Holland,
Yes.
Commissioner Saris.
Yes.
Thank you guys for moving that up, both of those up. Those are two really very important items on our agenda tonight. Everything on our agenda is important, but those are very positive. Thank you, Chief, again for your work on both of those. Next item is Resolution 2023-06-1202, Human Resource Group Agreement. I've not seen it. Oh, Mr. Bowen, there you are.
I'm hiding in the corner.
Hey, that's all right, you're here. Your presence.
Yeah, in front of you, you have a, what's called an ongoing compensation agreement proposal from the Hannah Resource Group. This year, we partner with Hannah. We have actually the last 2 compensation studies for an annual or biannual study. What this is for is ongoing compensation support. This contract is a 2-year term, $12,000 annually for the next 2 years. But what it is, it provides us ongoing support to be adaptive in the market. So for example, if we see that we're having difficulties with, say, recruitment and retention of a specific, sector or job classification, this gives us support to go back and assess the market. In hindsight, looking at this, I kind of wish if we knew what we knew 2 years ago, that we had an agreement like this in place. What it also does is it locks us into a 2-year term that will help us align with our compensation strategy, because we mentioned, I think in our last proposal, that we plan to do a compensation study every 2 years. So by having this term, it locks us into a 2-year term with Hannah, and it would save us approximately $10,000 over doing a standalone compensation study. But the main purpose of this, it gives us support to be reactive in the market. Under normal terms, I would say I wouldn't really recommend a contract of this nature, but because of the volatility of the labor market, and we really don't know where things are going right now with what I call the wage wars and the labor market, I think this is a good resource for us, for the city to have, to keep our employee retention at a maximum.
Sounds good. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Lockett, I'm sorry.
I was gonna, any questions or comments?
Call me a little hyper. We're locked in for 2 years here, and we can reevaluate whether we need this service or not, depending.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And what we'll do is, right now, the plan is, I think we began our most recent study in December of '22, so these contract terms would run through July, I think, of '25. Our goal right now is to go in and reassess the market in December of '24, so these terms will get us locked into that to essentially save the money, the city approximately $10,000. And that's assuming the rates stay the way they are. With inflation, we really don't know what vendor service rates are going to be in a year or 2 years from now.
And you said this would have saved us money because?
What it'll do, as opposed to doing a standalone market study, which probably would be in the range in 2 years from now, like probably about $30,000, this is going to be over 2 years, it'll be $24,000. Yeah, and if we did a standalone going forward, it'd probably be about $30,000.
Standalone being
Just a one-time compensation study, yeah. And so it'll help us, like I said, if we get into, for example, if we say fire, look at the fire service, it's a way, very competitive. We say, hey, we need to go back and reassess just fire market study. We can do this in a point of time, and there's no additional fees outside of these contract terms to do that. And then it also helps us with a lot of organizational restructuring. If we add a new job class, new position, we can lean on Hannah to go out and just say, okay, assess the market, make sure we've got this job classified and graded appropriately to be competitive in recruitment. So it's pretty layered. And I think this is a good contract. And again, I wouldn't have recommended this under normal market conditions, but with the market right now, we just don't know where it's going to go. And so I think this would be a good contract to have in place for the city in the short term.
Again, thank you, sir. Any other questions or comments? Anyone would want to make a motion for this proposal?
I'll move to approve Resolution 2023061202.
Second.
Thank you all. Any other questions or comments? If not, all those in favor? Say
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. Thank you. At this stage in our agenda, it's the second time we hear from the public. And this time you, again, may approach the mic after being recognized. You may take 3 minutes or less to state your comments. And you may talk to us tonight about anything that's not on our agenda or on our agenda at this juncture.
It's on your agenda.
Mr. Hunn, why you keep, Mr. Hunn? Yes, sir.
There's a correction need to be made
Okay.
in your Juneteenth Day statement.
Yes, sir.
It did not free all the slaves in the United States. Only those states, 11 states, that receded from the United States.
Yes, ma'am, sir. Okay,
So you need to take that statement out.
okay.
That's all I say about
We'll do that.
But it's
Hey.
only, and some counties in Tennessee and some parishes in Louisiana was already under Union control, so they didn't affect them either.
Yeah.
So that's just,
Okay.
Well, and Mr. Hunn, we always can use a history lesson, and I try to teach you about the 8th of August, but that's another lesson too, though. But I appreciate that. Was that? I know you do, I know, but it's okay. So our proclamation says it freed the slaves in all the states? Well, I didn't even catch it, okay. Okay, but I read it too, but I didn't catch it, but that's all right. Well, we stand corrected. Let's move on then. Anyone else here, the public? Yes, sir. Are you all together?
yes, sir.
Oh, I said, well, yes, sir, and yes, ma'am, then, okay.
We are now.
Wait, I just left Paul there, be careful then.
Steve Klein, Danville, born and raised.
Yes, sir.
Glow Lewis, Danville.
Yes, ma'am.
What we're up here to talk about is at the farmer's market Saturday, we had a parking issue. Saturday was a pretty busy day. And also, we have the First Baptist Church doing their, on the street crusade, or taking it to the street. But, we've got the stop signs, and the stop sign right beside the Constitution Square gift shop or the Goldsmith House, whichever you prefer.
Yes.
Right across from it, the cars just trying to get into the farmer's market, you know, to buy up their produce or whatever. But they hang out in the intersection. It makes it hard for people crossing the street. It makes it real difficult for the cars to turn left, you know, coming off the Second Street, going down Walnut, and it's gonna, I'm just thinking of pedestrian safety.
Sure, sure.
And I was hoping that the city could maybe put up one of those water barrier, the plastic things while farmer's market's going, because I thought cones, well, anybody can just pick a cone up, move it, and park there. But,
Yeah.
what do you,
Well, I think maybe, as they're coming up Second, you coming up Second North, and when you make it right, if it's a car that's parked right on the end, and another car right here, and if it's one that's coming up Walnut, if it's sitting there to stop, this person's gonna have to wait until all this comes out of here before they can turn. And I would suggest the cones, surely the guy won't nobody move them and somebody's watching them, you know. But it's hard. On that Saturday, it's very, very congested when it's
Sure.
farmer's market.
Yeah.
You've got people going, they don't know if all cars are stopped on all four sides. You don't know which one's going.
Yeah.
Because you got pedestrians trying to cross here, and then one might be coming down here, and the pedestrians gotta run.
Yeah.
But, that turn in that corner, it was very, very congested. I also sent Commissioner Peak and Commissioner Holland, we talked for a long time up there. I sent them the pictures so y'all can look at the pictures to see what we're really talking about. But that's my suggestion, either one, just to keep people from parking right on that end.
On the corners.
You know where we talking about, Chief?
So,
Yeah.
yeah, and what I saw, like, you have a hangout where they're hanging into the intersection, you know.
Yeah.
And that's a bad intersection to start with for being a pedestrian, almost any time of the day, but it was particularly bad this particular Saturday.
Well, I noticed what Mrs. Lewis did. She did like what I was gonna do, say, let's let the chief take a look at that.
That's what
yeah.
we was gonna say, just
Yes.
take a look at it.
Yes, that's right.
And one time that you can look at it is during that time, ain't it?
Oh, yeah,
Since,
yeah.
it's, of course, Commissioner Howard, she seen what we were talking about, and maybe,
Well,
you
I'll-
know,
yeah.
y'all
Yeah.
can get together.
Probably, you know, the ideal time would be about 10:30,
Oh, yeah.
because the vendors have unloaded, and especially if it's a pretty day, I mean,
Oh,
gosh.
and it was
Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was,
But just asking if you'll look at it,
Sure.
okay?
And I also might want to suggest that our commissioners forward those pictures to the chief, so the chief can
I
have
think
a,
he's
can have a visual before he gets there. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
You ready
you.
to? All right, okay, good. All right. Thank you all.
thank you.
Anyone else here to public? Thank you all for those comments. Anyone else here to public? Moving along, okay. Next on our agenda is comments from our commissioners. And any commissioner comment?
I have a quick one, so I'll go ahead first. Maybe we can work our way down. Parks and Rec Advisory Committee meeting has been moved to this Wednesday. It's usually the third Wednesday of the month, but I think there's somebody on the board that's having surgery, so they moved it. And on their agenda is something that we talked about last commission meeting, or was presented to us, and they are going to talk about the teen thing. So, yeah, it's on their agenda. They have a nice little agenda, a lot of things going on. So I just thought I'd let you all know, and you all know.
And I wanted to thank the maintenance staff at Parks and Rec for bringing the Peak Crest Field back to life at Jackson. It looks really good. We used to practice out there just 5 years ago. It was hard to do, so thank you for doing that.
Parks and Rec. I just want to give Parks and Rec a compliment tonight, too. I think I'll hold mine. Be selfish. No, I'm just kidding. You guys got anything?
I
else?
just want to say thanks to the staff, all the staff that worked
Yes.
through Brass Band and making that happen. And at Parks and Rec, the race that morning, I don't think you all actually, but you were there, so I appreciate people being there. Also, the fair's in town this coming week, just so everybody knows, it's going to be out there on the other side of town. And I mentioned at our special call meeting, but I do want to bring that back up about Sam Turner that passed away, who was at Public Works, or for a long time he worked at Public Works and passed away last week. So
You want to talk about the 4 locations for the fair?
4 locations?
Yeah, there's 4 different locations, isn't it?
Only one.
Yeah, one out across the street from Kroger's.
It's going behind the fire station.
Yeah.
Down in the,
But they're having events at the Boyle County Middle School.
they did.
They're having events at the UK Extension Office, and then they're having some activities with their animals someplace else. So-
Tonight, yeah, there is a.
So there's 4 different locations, so I hope the public knows a little bit about that. That was a good little flyer in the paper about it over the weekend. Okay. I was going to give Parks and Rec a shout out and give a shout out to the Danville City Schools Equity Council. No, they came here and made some comments, and we gave them some homework, and they went to see the Parks and Rec, and you guys hooked them up with some real neat activities, and they've promised me they're going to go to the library, because the library is just waiting for them to come, because they've got a lot of stuff, but that was real neat to get a quick return. So in case you're out in Millennium Park, every Thursday, starting this Thursday, last Thursday was the first one? So they have middle school and high school kids in the parks from 6 to 8 p.m. with lots of activities, and someone has donated food for the kids, and city's thinking about doing something else for the kids. We can't publicize that right now because it hasn't been approved, but again, a good coming together of people who have a concern, and they bring it to the right source, Parks and Rec, not the commission, and they got some resolution to it. So I want to keep encouraging people to do those kind of things. So, okay. Any other comments? Well, let's move right along. Next item on the agenda is the payment of our bills. So you have a bill list in your packet. I thought I had the total memorized, but I don't.
I move for approval of payment of the bills of $1,487,425.05.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments on paying the bills?
I have a question, and I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No,
Did I
you're
cut
good.
you off? I may have missed something. What are we doing with Brandstetter and Carroll right now? I said it was a.
That's a good Josh question.
There's a couple projects they're working with us on right now. One is the Public Works Garage renovation, and they're also working with us on the Police Department renovation here at City Hall. They've started design on that. So.
Other questions?
Mine is, doesn't have a page. It's ROCIC, and it's an annual contract. It's a service fee. Just wondered what it was. It's for a year.
So
It's not that much money. It's just a question.
Give me just a second. So I was going to apologize today just because it took so long to get the bill list to you guys. This is the first bill list out of our new accounting system. So I'm going to give you guys an update in another couple weeks when we're a little bit fresh. But the fun part is that I can drill, which I think is fun, right? I can drill down into it and get to the actual invoice, sometimes it is, because I don't know my way around just yet, it takes me just a second.
That's okay. I mean, you can send me it's not a big deal. I just wondered what it was.
Oh, keep going, as long as you're having fun.
Yeah,
As long as you're still drilling down, just go
Which
right
one is
ahead.
that? Which one is that?
it is,
It's a police contract.
it is
Oh,
a
okay.
subscription for the police department, and got it. It is for their July 23 through June 24 fiscal year 24 membership to ROCIC, which does not tell me its acronym, which is a little disappointing on the invoice.
That's okay.
No, it doesn't say, does it? It's just really small. Regional Organized Crime Information Center. So Tony
Okay.
would have to tell you what they do, but
It's
that's what
okay.
it is.
And then the other one is another one that you get to look at,
Okay.
maybe. It's CALLYO 2009 Corporation for I guess the department is DF. Does that help? Renewal and training.
DF.
Chief again. Chief.
I didn't hear that one.
Is it the police again?
I thought it was the chief again.
What is it?
That would be,
That might be the police department as well.
yeah, that is, that was just a typo, the DF. That actually is coming out of our drug forfeiture. That's what the
there you
DF
go.
is.
Okay.
Uh-huh. So
That answers it. Thank you.
is some training that they're participating in, 5 hours.
Thank you.
Maybe I'll be quicker next time.
Any other questions? We do have a motion, right?
We do.
Yeah. All right. All those in favor of paying the bills as presented? Say aye.
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 Those opposed, and nay. Thank you all. Next item is Resolution 2306-1203, a Chase Agreement. Ms. Compton?
So as part of the new software, we have essentially a middle processor who will allow us to have online access to utility bills. That's going to be the main interface that customers will see. They are also the ones who create the interface on the finance side so that users can pay things online for utilities and finance. But people who do work with credit card processors, the actual credit card processor is usually like a bank, a credit card, a name, JP Morgan Chase in this case. So while we have a agreement already in place with Invoice Cloud to process those payments, the actual bank requires us to have a merchant agreement with them, which is what this agreement does. So it says that they will process the card transactions on their ends. So in order for us to process payments for those utility and finance payments, we have to have this agreement in place with Chase.
Is the convenience fee, is that paid, like if I pay my bill, does it add it on at the end or something? How's that work?
So I'll have to double check with Marshall and get back to you 100%. There are a couple of different ways that that is applied. So there are some ways that when you take that payment on and you do it, there's a convenience fee that is, I believe, right around, I don't want to say a number and scare everybody, like $2 or something like that. That's attached on to the fees that essentially go to those processors that we don't really, we've negotiated it down, but we don't get much, we don't collect that on our
Right.
behalf. We don't keep that. But this agreement does not involve any dollars at all. All the dollar, the fees are collected by the Invoice Cloud servicer and then remitted on. I'm sure they keep a portion for profits, and then the rest is remitted on to the credit card company.
Okay. Any other comments or questions?
No?
All those, we do have a motion on this one as well? We do not have a motion, okay? Give a motion for Resolution 1203, Chase Agreement. Is there a motion to approve or disapprove, or?
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2023-06-1203? No,
Yes, ma'am.
oh, yes.
Yep.
03.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Second.
Thank you all. We've already had our questions, so all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Item number 12, PayPal agreement. Ms. Compton, you want to explain that one to us?
So this is the same situation as the Chase agreement with the new software. Once this payment processing system, so the accounting and the utility system is up and running, but the outside processing is still in place. I'm thinking we'll have an update next meeting about that. But essentially, citizens will be able to make payments through PayPal. Some people have expressed interest in doing that, and we want to expand all options available. The fees are similar to the other options. Like I said, we'll probably have a documented fee at some point. And I think there was one in some of the prior meetings, but essentially for PayPal to accept any payments from us or from customers to us, then we have to have a third-party agreement with them as well.
Thank you, ma'am.
I'll move for acceptance of Resolution 2023-06-1204.
Second.
Thank you all. All those in favor of approving the PayPal agreement, say aye.
Aye.
Those
Aye.
opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Ms. Compton, you have Software Solutions Contract Amendment.
Yes, so we signed our original agreement with Software Solutions, which is the accounting and finance/utility billing software. When we signed our original agreement back last July-ish, one module that we had purchased, which we still have, they're building this additional module that that goes live after the actual accounting portion does, which is a analytics and reporting function. So it expands our ability to drill down to financial data and report that out in ways that aren't usually created inherently within the system. So you can get an accounting system without those reporting functions, but I think it's really important to have expanded reporting options. So when we originally purchased the module, it was going to be a local server option. The software is cloud-based, but this analytics portion was they did not offer it as a cloud version back when we originally purchased it. So since we've been through this year-long process of upgrading to the system, they now offer this module as a cloud-based portion. And this agreement would purchase the cloud, essentially the cloud hosting of this module. It would reduce the requirement that we would maintain a server with that data on it, and the personnel and maintenance costs that go into hosting anything local server-wise. So myself and Nick Warren, IT director, we both think it's a great idea to host it cloud, the cloud version. So the annual fees that go along that would be included with the annual fees that are charged by Software Solutions.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Any questions or comments?
And this combines the current two financial systems into one, right?
Well, it's all the same,
Right.
right? It'll be the same, it's just that I don't know enough about IT that I feel like I'm talking about this correctly, but instead of having to hold this data and this, while it's connected, it'll always be connected no matter which version we choose to our accounting system. The processing is cloud-based, which makes it quicker and a little bit less cumbersome on our servers.
Okay.
You did pretty good explaining that.
That's the dumbed-down version that I can understand, so.
I wish I was cloud-based. I want to be cloud-based. Sounds fun.
We can arrange that. Is there a motion on the software solutions contract? Do we have a motion already?
I'll move to approve Resolution 2023061205.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, all right. Next item, first reading of ordinance number 214. Ms. Compton, you still on?
Yes, so, the last one, as you guys are probably aware from the monthly reporting we've been trying to do, two of our funds, the museum fund and the parking fund, have been, we've been monitoring them for potential transfers, budget amendments for this fiscal year. Within the museum fund, we had an unexpected large purchase, plus some unexpected, just normal routine expenses, which has meant that we've exceeded our budgeted appropriations, so we need to do a budget amendment to cover those. And as well, within our parking fund, we're not quite to the point that we've fully exceeded our appropriations, but I think by the end of the fiscal year, we will have exceeded appropriations in the parking fund as well. So within the museum fund, of course, we purchased the building directly next door. They've also had a lot of HVAC work done at the old federal building. And then the parking fund has had some expenses on the garage that we did not anticipate, and the security services that we did not originally budget in. So we are requesting to amend the two funds. The museum fund was originally budgeted at $28,776, and we are amending that to $598,000. The parking fund was originally budgeted at $597,321,000, and we are requesting to amend that to $647,000. The difference for both of those will come directly from the general fund. We have not come near the total budgeted appropriations for the general fund, so we have excess to transfer.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Is there a motion to pass ordinance 214?
I'm curious, Lee, what would happen if we didn't pass it?
I don't know. I'll have to figure that out.
I was just curious.
I think we'll get in
it's not
trouble
Your audit.
by somebody.
What's
You
that?
you would have a nasty designation on your audit that you were outside of your budget, and that would create a red flag, and it create a whole host of things after that, not only the slightest of which would be future bond ratings are impacted by negative audits, so you would face repercussions for the lack of attention to those details.
Just curious.
Plus, there's a constitutional requirement that we act within our budgetary means. So other than breaking the Constitution, sir, that would be at the top of the list.
So Commissioner Cottle, you want to go there?
What's that?
You want to go there?
I was just curious. I don't have.
Yeah, since
Oh,
Kevin,
I voted
since Commissioner Cottle opened up questioning, so the big increase in museum fund was because of the building, and those are ARPA funds, we just didn't list them in our budget, is that?
Yeah, like, even, no matter where the source comes from of the funds that you actually spend, you still have to appropriate the expenses. So we just have to take care of the housekeeping of it.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that for myself and anybody else that's scratching their head.
Let's let the clerk do the first reading for us, and we'll get a motion.
This is the first reading of ordinance number 2014, an ordinance amending a portion of ordinance number 1994, which established the City of Danville, Kentucky annual budget for the fiscal year 7/1/2022 through 6/30/2023 by appropriating funds for the operation of city government.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, the chair would like to entertain a motion for ordinance 2014.
So moved.
Second.
Oh, thank you all. Any other questions or comments? Okay, well, Madam Clerk, we'll have a roll call, please.
Commissioner Peak,
Yes.
Mayor Atkins.
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Holland.
Yes.
Commissioner Saris.
Yes.
Commissioner Cottle.
Yes.
Thank you all. Thank you, Ms. Compton. Josh, you have a whole bunch of them on the list. But before you get started, why don't you introduce your guest who's in attendance tonight?
Oh, sure. Jackson Arnold is a student from Center College that's interning with us this summer. So he's going to be helping us out in the engineering department with mainly a focus on mapping our revenue and expenses as a city. Is kind of a broad project that he's helping me with. We're going to collect as much data as we can to help with the comprehensive planning process with planning and zoning, to talk about where land use is productive for the city. And so that's the project he's helping with. So he's going to be here at City Hall for the next couple months.
I'm a little disappointed. I thought he wanted to. Oh, I told you didn't. I told him. I tried to warn him. Josh, I said I was a little disappointed. I thought he wanted to get some knowledge about streetscapes.
No, nobody wants to know any more about streetscapes.
Are we doing something?
He'll get that anyway, right?
Yes, he's going to learn a lot about streetscapes whether he wants to or not.
That's
Just
right.
being
Okay,
around.
Josh, I'm sorry. 6/12/06, Josh.
Yes, so last year, the Economic Development Authority applied for a grant through the Kentucky Department of Economic Development through the PDI program with Product Development Initiative. Earlier this year, it was announced that we had been awarded the grant. So it is a 50/50 grant. The total that we are to receive here for our project is $744,078. That's an amount set on, I think it's through population. I think it's the number that sets that amount. So that's maxed out. So the money will actually flow through the EDA. So there's a grantee and a beneficiary. It gets a little complicated with all this. There's a grantee and a beneficiary. The EDA will act as the beneficiary. The city acts as the grantee. So part of the application process now that we've been awarded the grant is that the city has to pass this resolution, which in a nutshell says that we support the project. I don't think that Stephen, tell me if I'm wrong if you're going through, I don't think there's a financial commitment with this document, but it's saying that we support the project. Now, the EDA will have to provide the match, which is a 50/50 match. So the EDA will provide the matching $744,000 and change. What this is going towards is the acquisition of property and development of a roadway into the 83-acre parcel that is west of the railroad tracks and kind of east of the KYTC garage on North Stewart's Lane. Kind of that area, in south of Clark's Run, it gets bounded by all those kind of things, and there's a railroad spur that's going to bound it on the south. So we're working with KYTC to figure out how to extend North Stewart's Lane through their property over to this land and extend the road in North Stewart's Lane into this property to make it available for industrial development, will be what this project will entail. The total project cost will end up probably being in around the 2.5 million range, but this will take a big chunk to start the project, the acquisition, and begin developing the roadway. So that's it.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions or comments? It's great to get a new grant. All right. Chair will entertain a motion to approve the PDI grant application.
I move to approve resolution number 2023-06-1206.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other questions or comments? If not, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Next item, Jenny Rogers Phase 1 change order number 2. Josh?
Yes, you have a change order in your packet. Total amount is for $174,079.70. As with any project where you're doing renovations and working on old things, we had a lot of found conditions when we started doing demolition at Jenny Rogers. There's actually a total of, I think there's 13 items listed. I think there's 13 different kind of change order requests that are in your packet that you can go through individually. And it's kind of spread out, the 174,000 spread out among the 13. The largest items are we're replacing more of the ceiling grid and tiles than we planned on when we bid it. The contractor's actually splitting a little bit of that cost with us just because it's making the project easier for them. That's the first item. It's about $28,000. And, you know, it was debatable whether we needed to replace them or not. The tiles and grid had a lot of age, and they're going to take some damage through the project. So it's probably going to be a money well spent in the end. So that's one big item. $46,000 and change is an update to the fire suppression scope of work, which is really mainly at the request. I'm not going to throw him under the bus. Our fire marshal went through the project with us again and asked for some changes to provide some extra work on the outside with the fire suppression pit and the fire hydrant nearby. So we've made those changes, and that's totaled $46,000. $27,000 is some additional asbestos abatement. We found more asbestos when we removed some carpet, and we got up in the ceiling and found some duct wrap. So we're going to have to do some additional asbestos abatement. And then some other big items. Oh, the sewer line relocation inside the building. Once we demoed the floors where we were planning to put the sanitary sewer line through that corridor did not work. There was an existing line there, and it was going underneath some walls that we thought were supported in a different manner structurally, that they weren't going to be able to have a tunnel dug underneath them. So we had to relocate it out into the hallway, that's a $38,000 price tag there. So, and then there's several assorted items. A lot of them are code issues. Once we got into the building, there's different code items, and we've had the state building inspector, state plumbing inspector in the building looking at different items. So a lot. This is a big price tag. We've been going back and forth for several weeks now, trying to get this dialed in. There's a couple items we took off. There's a couple items we negotiated. Got it to the best price we could. And it's really, they're kind of waiting on us with this change order to really get started on the project, because there's some items on here that they can't start everything else until they get these completed. So, like I said, this is $174,079.70. That'll bring the total project cost. Try to find that. I think right now we're at $2.6 million. This will bring it up to approximately $2.8 million.
Okay. Is there a motion for change order number 2 at Jenny Rogers?
I will move for approval of resolution 2023-06-1207.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
I just always, oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I just always like to remind the taxpayer, when we bought the building, it was a alternate towards building a new one at 8 to 10 million. And we knew it would probably cost about 3 million to fix up, if not more. So anyway, I think this is money well spent, and it's still in a great location and much less expensive than the $8 to $10 million building that was in our master plan, the Parks and Rec master plan.
Other comments or questions?
My question, I guess, is with the fire, it looks like two of the bigger items are fire related. Did they not have an opportunity to go through at the beginning to notice those things, or just?
Yeah, we looked at the plans. Sometimes I think, this happens a lot, especially when you have so many different people looking at drawings. I think sometimes they don't notice it till they see the work happening. They think we're passing drawings around, people are making changes, people are making comments, and then you start the project, and all of a sudden, no, I missed that, I wanted to see this. And that's understandable. I think with change orders, it's, these change orders are not things that if we had included them, we would have paid for them in the bid. Now, with a change order, you're always paying a slight premium because they're not, it's not a bid.
Right.
You're probably paying 10 to 20% more. So it's always good to get those things included in the bid, but it's not like it's complete, we're paying an additional amount for that. So, yeah, we bounced, the water was an interesting process because we had our water utility, we had plumbing inspectors, we had our fire, we had several different entities going over those plans. We had Train, which we'll talk about in the next item, as a third party working on our mechanical systems. We had our mechanical designer. So it doesn't surprise me that mechanical is a lot of this. There's a lot of mechanical, electrical, utility, water items in here because there was a lot of people putting eyes and making changes to them. So yes, I think they did have a chance. I think there was a little bit of confusion in who was asking for what there towards the end. And I've had to, full transparency, I've had to push the final design of some, like with this project, I had to push to get it bid out because we had people waiting. We have a tenant waiting to occupy. So we kind of pushed I pushed right at the end just to get it on the street and get it advertised. Some of this may have slipped through just because of that. But sometimes, I think that I would have been waiting around another 6 months if we had just kept waiting on everybody to take a look at things, so.
Okay.
And the two items that are like highlighted that are on hold, will those come back or?
Yes, they will come back. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely the grab bars, which is an ADA requirement,
Right.
they'll come back. We just didn't have a good price yet. And the wiring for the access controls, so we've been talking to the county school about how to handle access control because, how security is going to be a big deal to them with it being a child care center. They want to be in control of access to the public and all city staff doesn't need access to, very few of us do need access to the child care center. So we were going to try to put that and get them involved in that, but I think we've been going back and forth about how that's going to be paid for, and we're still working on that. So that's on hold until future.
Okay. Other questions or comments?
Yeah, I'll comment. I think that Commissioner Peak's questions were very good. And, it's kind of disappointing when you buy something and you get a lot of change orders, and then you feel like, okay, I put my left foot in, now my right foot's in, I'm kind of stuck here, so got to go forward. And Commissioner Holland also made a good point that the alternative, we're still under that, so. And it's disheartening to have to.
So when a little bit of my experience at the state doing so many projects like this, their change orders aren't the worst thing in the world. They're going to happen because there's diminishing returns to design. Like you just keep designing, trying to zero it in where you give no change orders. You'll just never get there. You'll keep spending money on design, trying to reach that perfect project. So there is a certain percentage that I'm okay with from a change order perspective. This got a little high for me. Like I've struggled with it a little bit because just percentage-wise, it's a little bit high. But if you do a project with 0 change orders, that's luck. That's not, you didn't do anything to get that. That's just you just were really fortunate, or you didn't make the changes you should have during construction to get the project how you want it. So. The goal, it's okay to have change orders. They're not the worst thing. It's just there is a certain percentage that you got to be comfortable with. And like I said, this is getting close to that. But there's not a lot. I tried to trim this back. There's just not a lot on here to take off.
Okay. Do we have a motion already? Need to carry the vote? Okay. All those in favor of the change order numbers? Number 2, I guess, right? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Next item is still on Jenny Rogers, and Josh, you're still up.
Okay, so we asked Train to evaluate the building using thinking of it as an energy savings contract, looking at our existing lighting and HVAC systems. We passed an agreement with them several months back. It was for a small $25,000, I think, to do the assessment. So they've completed that assessment, and they've come back with the contract. We've previously purchased the HVAC units to be included in this contract. To be quite honest, this is another number that I had to kind of come to grips with, just because it's $709,500 to install lighting and HVAC systems just in the east wing of the building. This isn't the entire building; it's just the east wing. I've got several breakdowns from them. They're not in the contract because I just got them the end of last week after I had submitted my paperwork. The largest chunk of that, out of that $709,000, the lighting is actually reasonable. It's $100,000 to replace all the lighting. And I think that's where you're going to get a lot of your energy savings too. So, just so the public knows, in their agreement, they show the math that we will save that money. We will save the $700,000 over a 20-year period. So that $100,000 goes towards the lighting, $113,000 goes towards controls, $460,000 is for the HVAC. And that's, like I said, we've purchased the units separately, so that's just the installation. And there's a lot of components that go into that as far as piping, wiring, different things. So, I mean, that's a big number. I think this is one of those items where inflation has gotten us here. I think 5 years ago, this is a lot different number, especially with HVAC systems. Lee brought up what we've spent at the Arts Center just over the past year, changing that budget number. We've spent where it used to be $2,000 or $3,000 to get an HVAC unit installed, it's now $10,000. Everybody we call, everything we do. So if there's any additional work involved, it gets up to $20,000. So it doesn't surprise me that number's high, but it's higher than what I expected. But like we talked about with the paving last meeting, this isn't going to get cheaper. And our ability, if we can, inside this how I've come to grips with it. This is the process I've had to go through in my head. If it's not going to get cheaper, and we can get the new components in now that we can start heading towards that payoff and savings sooner, that's money well spent. And because I don't, if it's these units have these HVAC units, and that they have 20 plus years on them now, 25 we're approaching. So they're due to be replaced. We can get them done now while the building's under construction, so it's less. We won't disrupt, our tenant in the future. So I think almost reluctantly say that I think this. I would recommend we do this because I think for if we're thinking 20 years, if we're thinking 50 years for this building, it's the right thing to do. It's just more money on top of a project we're already spending a lot of money on. I say that fully realizing that. So that's.
Josh, what did we just approve for train? What did they just replace out there recently?
That was for the 11 units. That was just the material, that HVAC units themselves. They wanted to go ahead and get those ordered due to lead time issues. So they will be part of this project as well. So really, you're really it's an $800,000 project at the end of the day.
And it just covers one wing.
Just
What about
the
the other
eastern
wing?
Just the eastern wing. So that's
why, when we approved that, it was sort of like,
Yeah.
did they look at the whole building and how much would it cost? I understand it's a ton of money, but if you replace this now and you wait for 10 more or 5 more years to replace the other, is that smart? I want to do the smartest thing with the money because this is adding up to
Yeah,
$800,000. That's a lot of
We had them
money.
focus on the eastern wing because it was going to be occupied.
Right, but the whole building is occupied at a lot of times,
Yeah,
with Parks and Rec.
we're going to occupy the southern wing as well. I mean, we're going to start, programming it soon. So I think I'm going to try to approach this. My plan was to approach the southern wing from an HVAC and lighting perspective, like I'm approaching it with a renovation perspective, is that we will do it in smaller chunks and try to do it at smaller procurement so that it's not driven up by these big project costs. That's my plan right now. I could talk to Train about, they're not, from a timeline perspective, we're not as worried about that wing because this has a finite deadline, the eastern wing does, for construction to be complete. That's why the construction project is waiting on this as well, in a way, because they don't want to start putting new ceiling grids in and start putting new things in until this work's done as well. So we can talk about the southern wing. We can make it a different part of the process if we want to. They don't have to go together. I don't know if that's going to really, looking at these prices, I don't know if that's really going to save us anything in the future.
Even though Train started the project here, would it be acceptable to bid it out?
It would. I mean, we can get those units and have them delivered here, and we could hire somebody else to do the installation.
I'd be in favor of seeing another bid. 'Cause
Yeah,
I kind of feel like Train
they're
is
pricing
holding
this
the reins
through,
right now.
They have a government contract through Omnia, think's the term that they use. And so they have a process which was they bid this out themselves. We could bid it ourselves. That is a route we could go. Time's going to get us, I think, a little bit if we do that, just from holding up the larger project. I think it might be worthwhile. The HVAC price is the only one that I'm hesitant about. I think the lighting, I think the controls, the controls, they're going to be trained controls because that's our system that we have. So that's kind of built in. So I struggle to think that it'd save us money. Honestly, Rick, I really struggle to think that it would save us a lot if we bid it ourselves. I think we'd probably end up right back here, maybe more. I'm just not, it's hard to, with the market right now and the bidding market, I really struggle to guess what would happen.
I think for this commissioner and maybe the others, we'd feel comfortable to know what the options were.
Okay.
Maybe Train could come and explain a little more. I understand the need to get the child care center up and all of that, but that's a lot of money.
It is. I could get trained here. They volunteered to come. I struggled whether to do that or not because I didn't want them putting pressure on you all with them here to make a decision to go with it. I wanted to just to be a conversation between us about these prices. But I can have them come and talk to you all if you would like that. Because I think, the energy savings is something that it's abstract to us in a way that it's hard to us to think, oh, well, we'll save this money. But so if I can get them here, they're the experts on it. They're the ones that ran the data. They're the ones that ran the math. If they can kind of come explain that better, I think that would make me feel better. If it would make you all feel better, we can schedule that for 2 weeks from now.
Because I was going to ask you about the energy savings contract. If we save $277,000 on energy and then operations 41 and capital avoidance cost, and then they came up with what we'd say $714,000.
Yes. Yeah, they said
Okay.
714 is what we would save over a 20-year period.
Okay, so that would pay for itself
Yes.
with energy savings. Okay, I've never seen this before.
Yeah.
So that was something new to me.
Other comments or questions? Josh, would it be wise to pull this and wait 2 more weeks if you want to bring Train back? Or is that going to slow up the whole project or what?
We're already facing delays with the larger project, especially with the sprinkler system. We've got some things that we're trying to figure out. We're actually the library's hosting some pretty big events in Jenny Rogers this summer, and we're actually holed up doing some sprinkler work in the gym while they finish up. So, this may cost us a week. I don't think a week is the end all be all here. So if you all need to wait 2 weeks to talk, if you want me to have Train here to think about it, that 2 weeks is okay. We can do that. So if you all would feel more comfortable, I'm okay with that.
Well, it sounds like we have 3 new commissioners who've never dealt with the Train. It don't sound crazy. The Train experience, like some of us have, especially with some of our other city buildings, it's been really proven to be very profitable. But since there's so many questions, I'd feel more comfortable just pulling this off the agenda and bringing Train in and let these folks get their questions answered.
Or Counselor, do we need to vote it off?
I don't think you've had a vote first and second yet, so an appropriate motion would be to table it, if that's what you're so inclined to do.
Yeah, and I think the taxpayer would like an explanation too, especially if there's proof of certain energy savings where it would pay for itself. I think I'd want to see the proof of that, and the taxpayer would too.
So would the chair will entertain a motion to table item 17?
Yeah, I'll move to table Resolution 2023-06-1208.
I'll second.
All right, thank you all. It's been properly moved and second that we table this item. All in favor of tabling the item, say yes.
Yes.
Those opposed to tabling the item, say no. So the motion carries. We're going to table this item until the next meeting. Thank you all for your discussion and your input.
Thank you, Josh, for understanding.
No problem.
Okay, next item is, Josh, you're still up. KU LED conversion agreement.
Yeah, we were approached by Center College about converting the streetlights around campus to LEDs. So I reached out to KU just to get just see what that would cost the city. They sent back this agreement, which is to convert 130 lights around campus to LED. There's a map in your packet that shows the locations. So financially, how that would impact the city, which I had to, their agreement is not very clear, but I had them break it down for us. So I put that in the memo. So our current monthly rate for those lights is $3,181.59. Our monthly, so we have to pay a conversion fee for 5 years after we do the conversion on our bill for those lights. So our monthly rate after the conversion for 5 years would be $3,289.79, which is about $100 more a month for those 130 lights. After 5 years, that conversion fee falls off, and then our monthly rate for those lights would be $2,868.79. So after 7 years, the city starts saving money, which I think is a good, actually seeing that, it's a good investment. I think it's something we should probably start trying to slowly do throughout the city. So this might be the first one of many that I bring to you all over the next few years. I think it'll be tough to do it all at once. If we did what's that, about 4% increase on our KU bill right off the bat, if we did them all at the same time, that would be a pretty big jump. But if we kind of slowly did that, I mean, I think if you're looking at a 10% savings after 5 years, I mean, that's, right now, our KU bill for streetlights is approximately $500,000 a year. So, you could see a $50,000 a year savings eventually. So I think it's something we could look at in the future, but this first agreement will just cover those 130 lights, and we recommend approval of it.
Has this ever come up before? Somebody requesting a change in?
Not since I've been here.
anything?
Yeah, it's the first time since I've been here.
The impact to center is what? Safety, better lighting for the campus?
I think I think they liked the lighting better and just safety and just a few different, I think aesthetically and just, it's energy savings too, I think, something
Sure,
everybody can kind of get behind.
You didn't ask them about putting any books in the pot, did you?
That's what I was wondering.
Would they be willing to help to
They might, we could
finance the
ask.
conversion?
Yeah. If it was going to be, I kind of was wanting to see what these numbers were before I went down that road, and I saw that it was actually, it's eventually a good deal for the city. I figured I'd present it as is.
All right. All right, Commission, what's your pleasure on the 6/1209 KU LED conversion agreement? Is there a motion?
Yeah, I mean, if we pass the motion, there's nothing to preclude Josh from still talking to Center, is there? I mean, if we decide we want him to do that, or?
Make it a part of your motion, I guess.
I mean, no, there would be nothing to preclude it. However, I think my position would be you lose your negotiation strategy if you approve it ahead of time.
Yeah.
So
Good point.
if there's going to be a chance of negotiation, my advice would be to do that prior to your approval. I mean, just doing quick math, it shows that the initial conversion is going to cost over 5 years just shy of $8,000, which the city recoups after year 7.
Yeah, it's not terrible.
But nonetheless, there is, if someone is requesting a change, it's conceivable that they participate in the requested change if they want it done immediately. I don't think that's without, but my advice would be to, again, table this item for that conversation prior to your approval, if that's your desire.
Now, there's no time
Yeah.
constraint on this.
I don't want to be Scrooge McDuck here.
Well, and I think the public position on that would be, you could garner future requests from other citizens and other potential neighborhoods or developments, industrial, commercial areas. They may have similar requests. So it might behoove the city to do this in a way that has some negotiation with the requester, so we can deal with it in an equitable way.
Yeah. I remember back when neighborhoods were developed without lights, and they came and said they wanted lights in, and I don't know if the city was involved, but I know KU was involved, and everybody in the neighborhood paying so much every month on the bill to pay for the neighborhood lights, but I don't know if this is comparable, but maybe it is. So we can and have a conversation with Center and then vote to pass it as it is 2 weeks later, but, still it's our option. Especially after hearing what the city attorney just said.
Right.
I'll do it again. I'll move to table Resolution 2023-06-1209.
I'm going to second.
No, you're,
You
You
voted,
saying something? I'm sorry.
your motion
No.
was to table?
motion was to table.
Table it and ask staff to have discussion. Okay. Is there a second?
I would second that.
All right. Any other comments or questions on that motion? Hearing none. Again, vote yes to say table. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries. We're going to table that one as well. Madam Clerk, I hope we're not confusing you too much tonight, but we're trying, right? Number 19 is first reading of ordinance 2015 right-of-way. Josh, your last one.
Yeah, this is the ordinance we brought to you all, it was a couple months ago, I think, actually. We brought this ordinance, a draft
Don't
version.
even bother, we're going to table it.
So this ordinance, this is an ordinance that the city's been working on for a few years now that just regulates more the usage of city right-of-ways. So we'll develop relationships and permitting with our local franchises that use city right-of-way for any utilities. And then also there is language in here about people utilizing the city's right-of-way to dig up to do a repair for their own water or sewer, things like that. So a lot of good language in here. So this will end up, the city will develop, we will develop an encroachment permit. It's something we kind of have a draft of. Will be one big thing that'll impact, that'll be the biggest thing that impact your day-to-day citizens, your activity around town. If someone wants to do any work inside the right-of-way, they're gonna have to get a permit from us. But the biggest impact will be to our local utilities, Atmos, AT&T, KU. We've sent drafts to them of this ordinance. They've bounced it back. We've bounced it back and forth and made changes at their request. So they've been active in the development process, so.
Good. Commissioner, what's your pleasure on the first reading of the right-of-way ordinance? We talked about this before, but what's your pleasure?
I'm going to move to approve the first reading of ordinance 2015.
We need to read it.
Don't you read it?
Oh, yes, ma'am, you want to read it?
This is the first reading of ordinance number 2015, an ordinance creating new policies and regulations to manage activities in and access to the city's public right-of-way.
Thank you, ma'am. Did you notice that she ready to throw something at me? Can we have a motion?
We have a first.
We have a second?
Second.
All right. Any other questions or comments? Madam Clerk, roll call vote again?
Mayor Atkins,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Holland,
Yes.
Commissioner Saris,
Yes.
Commissioner Cottle,
Yes.
Commissioner Peak.
Yes.
Well, all right.
Mayor, before we move on to public safety, would it be appropriate and okay for you and the counselor if I ask for a streetscape update since the city manager wasn't here to do that?
Why'd you have to bring the city manager up? Oh, just joking. Josh?
If you would like to do that, it's a regularly scheduled meeting, so you're free to amend that on the fly if it is approved by your illustrious mayor.
Okay.
Well, I get a chance to say no. Oh, no, I don't mind. You want Josh to give us an update real quick?
Just a quick one, because I think, the public would like to know we've passed through brass band and our contractors are out there busy, and I think they'd like to know what the timelines are looking like.
Yeah, they're still pushing hard. We're still putting out the weekly updates. Melanie's helping me with that to get updates out to everybody. They're working hard on the section between 2nd and 3rd Street on Main right now to try to get it done. What they're trying to do is get all of the paver areas done so the paver contractor can get his work done and demobilize from the site, which will clean up everything a lot. So they're working on the straight sections between 2nd and 3rd. And then they'll start working on the two corners of 2nd Street that we're going to be redoing, and then they'll start wrapping around Third Street down to go down South Third towards the parking garage. So that's kind of the next few weeks what you'll see. Biggest news I have is the streetlights were supposed to be shipped on June 9th, and then on June 8th, they told us it'll be June 23rd. So 2 more weeks on streetlights. You know, we're ready for them. We had a representative down here last week. We showed him the site and said, hey, we're ready to start putting lights up. And they said, yes, we see that. We'll get them here as soon as we can. So we're pushing on them pretty hard. They know we're ready. If they come here, if they get shipped June 23rd, that'd be great. That's hopefully we don't get strung along, you know, every 2 weeks. It's another 2 weeks kind of thing. So we're going to keep leaning on them and make sure they get our lights here for us. So that's the biggest news for tonight. Bad news, but you know.
I like the way you tried to avoid.
Hopefully the next meeting, I get to tell you all they're on their way or they're here. So
No, I was talking about completion date.
Well, completion date, you know, I try not, you know, I'm even trying not to think about that at this point. I think my thing is they're here every day. They're pushing. We're pushing to get work
Yes,
done. We're
that's
making
right.
progress. We're going to make a slight change. I don't know, the curb in front of the art center is further out in the road than we really envisioned it being, and it's actually a little bit crooked. So they're going to tear that out and redo it. That's why that little section hasn't been poured yet. So the contractor's going to take care of that and fix that and make it look right. And so you'll see some work there over the next, hopefully that'll be done in the next week or so. But that's been I think it's gotten a couple tires already. I think we've busted a couple tires on that curb since it was put in. So we're going to make that change.
And speaking of curves, they are going to go back and
Yes.
grind them down.
Public
right?
Works is going to grind those curbs down. It's cheaper for us just to come back in later and do that. It's a big premium if we get it done ahead of time. So we're set up to do that. Rick and I have already talked about getting that done pretty soon. So
You know, way back in 2022, someone made a commitment to the public that if they voted for him or for her, they'd be done by July the 4th. So getting real close.
we're getting close. I think, you know, if the street lights had showed up this week, I think we would have been looking pretty good July 4th. And I still think we are. I don't know the North 4th section that the west side of North 4th. I don't think it'll be done July 4th, but I think the rest of the sidewalks will be pretty close. Even our contractor, who they're really conservative, they're even saying mid-July to get all the hardscapes done. So they're moving pretty quick now. Oh, and they were here today putting the spraying the liner of the fountain basin. So that's moving along. They're hoping to have the fountain done in the next few weeks. So that'll be a big change. I'm excited now that this was done today. They can set the fountain. So I think you'll see this fountain, the bronze fountain will be set in the next few days probably. So. Good.
All right.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Josh, and apologize to Melanie.
All right.
She has been putting out updates, and I just haven't.
Yeah.
This guy who wanted me to remind you all about there's a concert down at Michael Smith Park tomorrow night.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah. It's, tag on it?
yeah.
I can't think of the name of it. Yeah.
Michael Fly and the
Yeah.
Sounds.
Okay, let's move on. We have 2 items left, plus an executive session. So let's move right along. Chief Gray.
Mayor, Commissioners, you have a contract in front of you. Reference the school resource officer at KSD. That's kind of a little misleading, but there's going to be 2 officers. One officer will be a full-time officer, which is Todd Davis would be doing the days. So he will also be working through the summers. The second officer is just going to be a seasonal employee. It's just a 9-month contract, and that is roughly 10 months, and he will be paid, that officer is going to pay $60,000. The city will be contributing $20,000 of that, and KSD will be covering the $40,000. There's no benefits or anything attached to that seasonal employee. He'll be a retired officer. He will be a fully certified officer as well.
Wow, that's great. That's great.
Ask for approval for that.
Yes,
to
sir.
Sign that contract.
Need a motion to approve Resolution 61210, KSD?
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2023-06-12-10.
Second.
Thank you all. Any other questions or comments? If not, all those in favor of Passing this resolution, say aye.
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 Those opposed, thank you all. Resolution 2023-06-12-011, Chief Gray, this is yours as well.
This is a flock camera system. This is not traffic cameras, is running speed lights or anything like this. This camera system is only for license plates. It is only for criminal investigations. It is not for any type of surveillance or anything like that. It's a system that Lexington and Louisville uses in a lot of their crime scenes.
Okay. Is there a what? Are there any questions about this before I get a motion?
And did we put, this is for this year's budget. We added some in the upcoming budget also, right? In the new budget.
That was, the other cameras was just for the, I believe was the body cameras. Was the
Okay.
first, what we added, was the
Added
first
to
time
the
was body
budget.
cameras. These are not body cameras.
Right, but the budget, so this is this year's budget then?
This will be for the upcoming budget,
Okay.
23, 24.
It'll be for next fiscal year.
Yes.
Yes.
That was my question.
Yes, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
Other questions or comments? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2023-06-12-11.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
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 Motion. Those opposed, say nay. Thank you all. There is a need for an executive session.
There is, Mayor, concerning a personnel matter.
All right. The chair will regretfully accept the motion to go in executive session.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel matter pursuant to KRS 61.8101F.
Can we table that?
Can we table that?
Can we table that?
Can we table that? Well, yeah. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Before you all leave, let me do this. Let me thank our staff and our citizens for their attendance and their input tonight. And we've had a good meeting tonight. And our city manager is, he's AWOL. He's calling it vacation. He's headed out west. But I'm sure you all felt his absences tonight, right? session, and I want to turn it over to the city attorney, who's the acting city manager.
No,
tonight.
I'm not the acting city manager. But in the absence of the city manager, I'm happy to present this matter. Staff would request you accept or approve the reclassification of Evan Teague to the position of Assistant Maintenance Supervisor Athletics.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Next one, yes, sir. Acting city manager.
On behalf of the city manager, he would like to recommend the hire of Stephen Pater to the position of Certified Police Officer.
Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay, nay. Chair, oh, congratulations, chief and assistant chief. Put y'all right where you want to be, right? Almost, right? Getting there, all right, okay.
I was going to table,
Said you need 3 more, okay.
I was going to table that,
I'm
but I
not gonna
ran
say it
out.
out loud. Okay, Chair would entertain a motion for adjournment, right?
Let's go, let's adjourn.
I'll give it, send it back to Lower County, wouldn't it?
I'll second it.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Hey, so go down and hire all them Machado guys, bring them up here with you, right?